Okay, this is a video just to show how to set up a print driver, install the profile and set it up in Lightroom. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to be looking at is we've got a profile from Epson. This is for the Ilford Gallery Smooth Pearl, and this is important information. This tells you what the printer is. This is the media type in the print driver. This little N in the Epson name, that actually denotes that we turn off color management, with no color management whatsoever. So first thing we do, just click in there and we've got a couple of files. Now the first thing I'm going to do is highlight the ICC profile. I'm going to right click it. I'm going to install the profile. That's all that happens when you install. There's nothing comes up, nothing runs. The second part is we're going to open up the Gallery Prestige, the README. We're going to have a bit of a read of what these files are. This gives you a bit of an idea of how this naming convention works. So the things that we're actually after: GP, PSPs, Ilford Gallery, Smooth Pearl, all of this. You can see all of these different codes for all different types of paper. We're after a specific code. These are the ones for Canon, Epson, and we keep going through. Now we come to, in the name, we can see that it's PSPP, so premium semi-gloss photo paper. That's the photo paper, that's the type of paper we need to indicate in the print driver. So in the print driver, I'm going to come across over here. This is the printer now. Set up the printing preferences. And we need to change the paper to photo paper, Epson Premium Semi-Gloss, if I recall. PSPP is Premium Semi-Gloss Photo Paper. So that's it there. That tells you we're using photo black ink, we're not using the matte ink. The color mode is color or black and white, so obviously we choose color. Now in terms of quality, if we have a look over here, the print quality, we've got quality sets it to 1440 by 1440 dots per inch. If we go to maximum quality, that goes to 5760 dots per inch. This is essentially a print use, an ink usage indicator. I normally set mine to quality unless there's a specific reason, and I haven't seen anything in this document to say that it should be anything else. So let's just have a look through. Color management, properties, HP, so that's there. Color management, N equals no. Print quality, if nothing special is mentioned in the print driver media type code, then use high for Canon, photo or best photo for Epson printers, etc. We don't have photo or best photo. We've got quality or maximum quality. So I tend to use quality because that we don't have the word photo or best photo. In mode, we've got 5 selections. We don't want any of these. We want the printer to have no role in the color management. Photoshop or Lightroom will do that. The source for the paper will be either sheet, roll banner, front, or a CD. In this case we're having a sheet, and it's going to be an A4 sheet. Here you can set it up as borderless if you wish. I tend not to print borderless because when my prints go into frames you need somewhere for the mat to hide, and that goes behind the paper. So I set it up as portrait. Everything else apart from optimize enlargement I'll leave as that. When I'm happy with all of this, I'll now come across and save this so that I don't need to repeat it every time. So I'm going to come into here. I'm going to create one for the paper. So we got photo, fine art, poster, others. This one is going to be called Ilford Smooth Pearl. We'll call it A4. There's all of the various settings. I'm now going to write Ilford Smooth Pearl A4 in the comment sheet as well. So I'm happy with that. So now the one I've just entered, and there's that comment that I've just written, is there. Okay, so we can see now that we've saved that. All of these settings are saved. We don't want print preview or layout manager. We click OK. Now I'm going to get rid of that. I'm now going to come back into the print manager. So print preferences, just to make sure. Smooth Pearl, that's all perfect. Okay. So we need to look at that. How do we get that into Lightroom? Well, let's have a look at Lightroom. And in the library there's a selection of photos that I've done over the years. I've got the library tab, the develop tab, here's the print tab. Now there's a couple of areas we're concerned with. We've got the right hand side, which sets out the conditions of that sheet, how it's all printed. Then we've got the template browser, and then down here we've got a page setup, and this page setup is used by the driver. So in this case we need to go in, make sure that that printer is selected correctly, the properties are selected correctly. If they're not, you need to change them to whatever else it is. Okay, if everything is correct there, click OK, click OK. So at this point, if you don't click anything in this area, that page setup will not change. But if you click, say, in here, you will find that it all changes. So we need to be careful. So I'm going to go back into the page setup. First of all, I'm going to select my printer. Then we're going to go back into the Smooth Pearl. All of those settings are changed, so we're OK. A4, all OK there. Now, I'm going to create a new preset. And this is going to be a new folder. So this one will be for the Epson Shore Color 600. So now you can see that the Epson Shore Color has turned up down there. The untitled template though we're going to create is called Ilford Smooth Pearl A4. So we've got that there. Now at this point I'm going to rename this because I'm not happy with that. So I'm going to rename it to ESC 600. That indicates the printer. And then this one will be the name of the paper. Pardon me. So now when we come up here, we can see that it's Ilford Smooth Pearl, Ilford Smooth Pearl A4. I'm going to rename that. And I'm just going to call it by an abbreviation, Ilford Galleria Smooth Pearl A4, and the rendering intent will be relative. Okay, so now we've updated that. I need to go back in, make sure all of that is the same, because sometimes this can change and you're not aware that you've actually changed it. So we'll update that with current settings. So for Ilford Galleria Smooth Pearl A4 relative, setup, the print driver has been set up. Now we come over onto the right hand side. Layout style, we want a single image. For the image settings, we want rotate to fit, but we don't want anything else done. Stroke is an interesting one. It can put a border around it. I don't normally use a stroke, but there are times when they comes in handy. So I'll come into layout. Because this is an A4, I deal in millimeters. Now you can set up margins of say 50. So those margins are the size that it's going to be printing to. The cell size automatically changes. So you can see this is the cell size, these are the margins, that's out in the gutter, that's the borderless printing area. But really we only want say a 5mm border. So now we've got a 5mm border all the way out to the edge, and now we just need to alter the cell size. So we maximize the cell. That maximizes the image. Now you'll see we have white space above and below, and that's because this image is not in the correct aspect ratio for an A4. All of my images are cropped to suit the image, not cropped to suit a print. So I do custom framing and I get these printed how I want them. As you see, that all changes to suit different images. So we're happy with all of that. Let's come over, we're going to update the preset again. I get into the habit of updating that preset because sometimes it's quite easy to forget. Now in the guide, you want to show the guides. You've got the rulers, you can turn them on and off. Page bleed, and that page bleed is that little grey area for the borderless printing. Margins and gutters, and that's essentially on top of the cell. Then you've got the image cell, and then more importantly you've got the image dimensions just up there, and that tells you how big the actual image is going to be. Under page we don't really mess around in that unless you've got specific reasons to. The last area we come down to is in the print job, and we want to make sure we're going to a printer, not a JPEG. Now for an Epson printer, their native resolution is 360 ppi. A Canon HP is 300. So you need to make sure that your system, if you own an Epson, is set up to 360 all the way through, and that's in Photoshop, Camera Raw, etc. Same within Lightroom. Now if you've got a Canon or a HP or another one, it's going to be 300, so you need to make sure they're all set to 300. That allows correct scaling, so you can tell it exactly what size. If you put any other value in, that print driver, the Epson print driver, will automatically print at 360 ppi, and if you send it 300, it'll convert it up, it'll upscale it essentially to 360s, and as part of that is essentially a resize where it interpolates the missing information that it needs. So by putting that in natively, you avoid a problem. The print sharpening, if you don't do any print sharpening, you're probably better to go to high if you don't do print sharpening for your output. I recommend though in Lightroom, if you're using Lightroom, to use print sharpening standard, and that's because it's actually the print sharpening is applied automatically, and Lightroom does a damn good job of it. If you find it does too much, turn it on to low, but my recommendation, if you don't know what you're doing, leave it as standard. For smooth pearl, Ilford Gallery smooth pearl, the media type is a gloss, so you change the paper over to a gloss. Now before I come down into color management, I'm going to update that print driver, update with the current settings. Now color management, I'm going to click on there. You may find you've got managed by printer. We certainly don't want the printer to work the color management. We need the Lightroom or your application. And what we need to do is we need to come in here and select the particular driver we're after. And it's the Ilford Gallery Smooth Pearl for the 600. So I'm going to select that one. And because we're using relative rendering intent, we select that. We update the driver again. Now, at this point you would do a test print. And if the print comes out and it's darker than it should be for the screen, or it's too light, you've got a print adjustment. Now, I don't know what these values represent. I do know though that if you adjust them, they will either lighten or darken the print, or they'll increase or decrease the contrast. But whether 5 units in this of brightness, I couldn't tell you what that value is. You'll have to do a print and work out how much. If it's still too dark, brighten it up again, and you keep doing that until the prints are the correct brightness according to the screen. From there you just leave it. Then once you've done all of this, you come back up and you've got your final update with current settings. From there, when you decide you're going to print, the only thing you need to do now is load the printer with paper, press the print button, and that's all there is. And the beauty of it is once this is set up, once that preset is set up, you can come over into your library, you can see any particular image you want to print, come over to print, select your template and hit print. It's very, very easy, so I highly recommend it. It's a underutilized area of Lightroom, but it's one of its strengths for me. So I hope this video was some use. If you've got any issues or any questions, give me a call and let me know. Okay, thank you.